Hey guys, welcome back. So today we're going to talk about my top 5 PCCs. Recently we released a video talking about the PCCs I wish I hadn't bought. Well, we're going to flip the script today and talk about the ones I actually like and are some of my favorite. But before we get started with today's video, please like, share, and subscribe. It really helps us out because a surprisingly small number of you that watch our videos actually take the time to subscribe. So if you just click that button, it really helps us out here at the channel. Also, please comment down below. It helps us with the algorithms and, of course, share the videos. All right, guys, let's get started with today's video. Guys, please swing by and check out Big Daddy Unlimited, BDU. They help support us here at the Military Arms channel with products and things like that so we can continue to bring you content. There's a link in the video description down below that'll take you to the Mac blog and website. Please follow that link, and from there you'll find a link to Big Daddy Unlimited and try them out just for 99 cents. You can see what they're all about. In essence, they're just like a big online store that has amazing prices. So please, again, check out BDU. So the first one I want to show you, and these are in no particular order, but by the time we get to the end of the video, I will have to pick a favorite, and that's going to be really tough given how much I like the guns in this video. But we opened the video with me holding this gun. This is the KR9 from Kalashnikov USA, and it is a one-to-one perfect clone of the Russian Vichez that was made in or is made in Russia. And this is the 9mm AK that everybody was trying to replicate or bring to market. And so we had products like the AKV9 and stuff like that hit, which are good products in their own right. I love the AKV9, but this is the gun I wanted. Now this one is an SBR, so it has a metal folding triangle stock on it. It's a factory SBR. But some of the guns we're going to show you in today's videos are handguns, and they'll have braces. Some of them I may form one, other ones I will just leave as pistols because I don't even shoot them that much. But guns like this, I shoot a lot and I love it. The Vichez is the ultimate in 9mm AKs. We have an entire video talking about the features of the gun. I'm not going to get into that in this video, but it's just well balanced. It shoots really, really nice. The quality's through the roof, and I have seen real Russian guns, and of course I've seen this one, and apart from the markings, you just can't tell them apart. It's a perfect clone, right down to the polymer magazines, and all of it's made right here in the United States. So it's a blowback gun. It's a very simple mechanism. Again, we have an entire video on it, but yeah, the recoil impulse is really nice. It's just short, handy, especially when you fold the stock on the SBR. The controls are easy to get to. If you're an AK guy, if you're an AR guy, not so much. But overall, this thing is just absolutely amazing. Love it in every way. And very, very accurate. All right. So, yes, we're only firing 10 rounds per magazine because the ammo crunch of 2021 is on. And despite that, we do want to thank our friends over at Federal for supplying the ammunition for today's video. They do so free of charge, and it really does help us out. So let's get on to the next gun and see what we ultimately wind up with my top choice. It's going to be tough. The next firearm I brought out today for you guys to check out is the Scorpion Evo. This gun, when it first hit the market, really took the market by storm, and I fell in love with it very, very quickly, as did the community who were buying the firearms. It was so popular, in fact, that the third-party market sprung up immediately to support it with aftermarket parts, and that's something you don't typically see. So even manufacturers of parts recognized a gun that was going to be tremendously popular here in the United States, and the Scorpion most certainly has been. One of the things I really, really like about it is that I've been to the Czech Republic. I've seen their military carrying these firearms. Being a small arms collector, having a military pedigree moves it up that scale of desirability for me. So it's a great gun. It's a great Form 1 host, potential candidate if you want to turn it into an SBR. And it's really cool in that it makes use of polymers pretty much throughout the construction of the firearm. Simple blowback mechanism, HK style charging where you can lock the bolt open and do the HK slap, all that stuff. The early guns had 18mm threads on them. Now they have 1/2x28 and 18mm, so you can rock your regular old 9mm can, which I have on here, which is a Griffin Armament Revolution 9 in its K configuration. So especially with the aftermarket accessories out there, you can really tune this thing ergonomically to make it really your own. There are aftermarket magazines for it. This is an AKV9 magazine that is manufactured by Palmetto State Armory. And this one, I believe, is a 35 rounder. but they work in the Evo as well. Really mild recoil impulse for a blowback firearm. Doesn't really move around a whole bunch. I fired them on full auto, very controllable, but an extremely high cyclic rate. Yeah, a very, very neat gun, and certainly something you should consider if you're looking for a PCC. One of the things I get asked all the time is, Mac, how can I get involved in the firearms industry? Well, one of the best ways to do that is to consider going to Modern Gun School. It's an accredited school, and they offer all the modern classes that will get you up to speed and be able to empower you to go out and find a job in the gun industry. You can learn gunsmithing and things like that, and you learn from home. So please check them out. I have a URL down in the video description below. Another one of my favorite PCCs is the B&T APC9. Now this one is the SD version, which means it has an integral suppressor. And this gun is much like the MP5 SD from years ago, where it actually vents propellant gases off very early in the ignition process of the cartridge, and those propellant gases are vented into the suppressor to cool them and silence them, but also to keep that bullet from achieving supersonic velocity. So when you use a standard 115 grain or especially a standard 124 grain ball round, you're not going to break the sound barrier. Yeah, it effectively makes it like a 380, as people will say, but the trade-off is that you don't have to use specialty ammunition to get that sound deadening and getting rid of that supersonic crack. This is another firearm that has a military pedigree. The United States Army recently adopted a version of this firearm as a submachine gun, something they haven't done since World War II, and it passed the military trials with flying colors. So again, that military pedigree pushes this up on the scale of desirability for me. This one does have a brace on it. I do have an SBR version, not of this, but an SBR APC9. And I'll probably SBR this one, because this one is something I probably will shoot more, simply because 147 grain ammunition is impossible to get. It's hard enough just to get practice ammo at all, so beggars can't be choosers. This one is an earlier generation gun, so they've evolved some over the years. This one has a reciprocating charging handle, uses its own proprietary magazines, but that's been remedied in the Pro versions that are available now, where you can use B&T mags, Glock mags, stuff like that, even P320 mags, which we featured here on the channel before. The overall fit and quality of this thing is through the roof. When you're looking for a firearm and you look at something Swiss made, holy cow. I mean, the Swiss take it to the next level of engineering and just elegance. Just really, really tough to beat a gun like this. Again, we have some 124 grain Federal. And this one's running the B&T magazine. It has a recoil buffer in here that's hydraulic, that it's a straight blowback action, but when that bolt hits that buffer, it dampens that recoil impulse. With the sun just over my shoulder and at a range of only about 15-20 yards, I can see that little copper jacket streaking towards the steel plate, the challenge target we have downrange. This is a really, really fun gun to shoot. I get a lot of emails asking me what targets we're using on the Mac range. In a recent video, we talked about the man-sized target back there from Challenge Targets. And this is another plate that we use. This is on our long range for rifles, but also pistol range in the winter, because that hill behind me protects us from the wind. But this target is just like the man size in that it easily breaks down into 3 separate components. Toss it in the Jeep when you're rearranging the range and moving stuff around. These new challenge targets are a real dream. We do have a discount code down below in the video description, so if you're looking for some steel targets, check them out. They make extremely good products. A video like this simply would not be complete without the HK MP5. In this case, it's one of the newer SP5 guns that's being manufactured in Germany and once again imported into the United States. This is the SP5K PDW. They brought in an SP5 with an 8-inch barrel, then they brought in the SP5K, which is just like this one, but more like the SP89, which had a handguard here. The muzzle did not stick out past the front sight, and you didn't have a threaded or tri-lug barrel. So the PDW gives you all the features of the traditional MP5K, but you can't do the vertical grip unless you Form 1 it. And then you can put a stock on it, and then you can put a vertical grip on it, or you can just register it as any other weapon and put a vertical grip on it. These guns are iconic, huge military pedigree and are simply nothing short of amazing. For many, many years, and perhaps even still today, it's considered the gold standard of submachine guns. So as a PCC, you just can't beat this thing. I was just jumping up and down when HK said they're going to bring the darn things back to market. It's made with modern machinery. It's a lot cleaner than some of the old pre-band guns, pre-89 guns. It's just amazing in every regard. The roller delay system makes for a very, very light, small, handy package with the brace folded. It's just absolutely tiny. And everybody's familiar with the HK slap. It has the upgraded polymer lower on it. And again, just nothing short of beautiful and a real pleasure to shoot. Yeah, that roller delay system really is, even today, just so amazing because it makes the recoil so muted. On full auto, these things are just nothing short of amazing in terms of controllability. It's going to be a tough choice, guys. In my last video where I talked about the worst PCCs I've ever purchased, I talked about the MPX. And people probably just automatically assumed I meant all of them, even though in that video I tried to make it clear that I was talking just about the Gen 1 guns. They had a whole bunch of problems with them that they slowly evolved into what we have here today. And this firearm is amazing. Now, I've had to make some upgrades to it. That was just because I wanted to run it suppressed. If I wasn't running it suppressed, I wouldn't have to have made those updates. But because I'm a big suppressor type of guy, yeah, I had to put the Inlead We Trust barrel in it and stuff like that so I could get the accuracy I wanted out of it. But this little gun, it's a little bit heavy, but it balances very well. It shoots amazingly well. It's a combination of the weight and the fact that this is a gas piston driven firearm. That really sets it apart from the competitive products on the market. Now, the roller delay system in the H&K makes that recoil impulse very muted as compared to a traditional blowback firearm. With the gas system in this, with the piston system, again, we see a gun that is extremely controllable, very mild recoil impulse. Not that 9mm has a bunch, but it does make a noticeable difference. The ergonomics are really good. The gun looks very sharp. I love the SB Tactical side folding brace. On here I have the D9Z Zenith suppressor, which is mounted via a tri-lug. Yeah, just a really comfortable gun to shoot, especially if you're familiar with AR-15 type controls, because you have the mag release right there like an AR-15. You have the ambi fire controls right there like an AR-15. And some AR-15 triggers will actually drop into the gun. This is some Syntec ammunition from Federal. Call it lipstick rounds. T-handle charging. Not necessarily a big fan of that. I'm inclined to reach up here for a charging handle, but I love the M16 AR-15 just as much as the next American, so that's something I can get used to on this gun. Yeah, what a pleasant shooting gun. All right, guys, so here are the 5 guns I've picked for today's video, and let's start off with the MPX. The MPX is an amazing gun. It's evolved from the Gen 1 gun, which I thought was one of the worst guns I'd purchased, into this firearm, which I think is probably one of the best PCCs on the market right now. The only thing I can really ding this thing hard for is the fact that I had to go to the third party to get a barrel to make this gun accurate enough to my standards with a suppressor mounted. And because of that, having to go to the third-party market to replace something as expensive and key to the entire system as a barrel, I'm going to take it out of the running here for my favorite. Really close, though. I love that thing. I've said that in previous videos. Scorpion Evo. Great value. I was a little bit depressed by its performance in the gauntlet, but that's not a scientific test, and it's just a sample of one. But I started off madly in love with this gun, and it's just kind of petered out into, I acknowledge this as being one of the best PCCs on the market. Not necessarily for me. I have to change the ergonomics to get it to work for me. This is a Magpul grip, but I love the fact that the aftermarket has sprung up for it. The gun also, I've read reports of it blowing out, firing out a battery and blowing the side of the receiver out. I've seen pictures of that having had happened. I've never experienced that myself, but you know, others have. So, I don't know. It's just okay. but definitely belongs in this list. The Vitez KR9, Kalashnikov USA. I don't think I've been happier about the introduction of a firearm to the US market than when this thing was announced and I got to see it at SHOT Show. I've always wanted a Vitez, and this scratched that itch. I mean, this is a perfect clone. And the thing I love most about it is its military authenticity and pedigree. And that put it in this squarely in this top 5 list. I love this gun, but it still has AK controls and things like that, which again makes it kind of antiquated and not necessarily feature rich enough for the US market. And I've become accustomed to my bolt holds and things like that. Love it to death, but it's not going to make the final cut. That leaves us with the SP5 KPDW and the APC9. The APC9 is an amazing firearm. This thing is Swiss quality throughout. It has evolved into an even better product than what you see here, with the ability to swap out the lowers and change magazines, non-reciprocating charging handle. This is an older version. This is the SD. I love the integral suppressor. I love everything about this gun. There's nothing I don't like about it. I even don't mind the reciprocating charging handle because it's out of the way. They're expensive. They're really expensive, but the quality's there. So that means this one, the SP5K PDW, iconic in every sense of the word, soft shooting, quality through the roof, but it has old school fire controls and not necessarily the easiest to get to. They've improved the ergonomics quite a bit, but it's just a 1960s technology gun. And that's why I'm going to go with the APC9. Not necessarily just the SD. I love this thing because of the integral suppressor, but this thing exudes quality. I absolutely love it to death. The military adopted it as the first SMG adopted since World War II. I mean, it's amazing. If you've never fired one, you really should try to get your hands on one and go shoot it. I love this gun. All right, guys, I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you'd like to support us here at the Military Arms Channel so we can continue to bring you videos like this, please consider becoming part of our Patreon family or supported by you, our viewing audience. There's a link in the description down below. Click that link, check out some of the perks. We answer all private communications. You get access to videos long before they're released to the public and things like that. Also, please consider clicking the join button you see underneath your video player right now and supporting us right here on YouTube. And last but not least, guys, swing by and check out coppercustom.com. Thank you for 13 years of support. We'll talk to you guys soon.